For the UMass Lowell Hockey Riverhawks, the next stop is Pittsburgh. It is the Frozen Four. On Thursday, the Riverhawks will take on Yale University in the first of the two national semifinals. Joining us now, the head coach of the Riverhawks, Norm Bazin. And Norm, first, congratulations to you and this hockey club on making this trip.
Oh, thank you, Bob. We're excited to be playing at this time of the year and going to our first Frozen Four.
Before I talk specifically about hockey or these games, I note at the news conference that was held, the chancellor talking about the impact on the university. And I'm just curious, you as a coach, do you think about those things? Are you aware of the impact it has on the university community and on the larger Lowell community?
Well, as an alum, I certainly do. I'm excited for the school. I think we can serve as a storefront for the university as a whole. It's such a wonderful place and a great education that maybe more people will pay attention to it, and they certainly will see it next week on ESPN. I
mentioned the news conference, and I'm sure there are lots of media requests. There is the potential, or great potential, for distraction, taking attention away from matters at hand on the ice. As a coach, does it make your job more difficult to keep players? Is it more difficult to keep players focused on the task at hand, or is this team just a very well-focused hockey club?
Well, they've been very businesslike all year long, so I don't expect it to change now. However, the press conference was an added bonus in the sense that we can get a lot of those distractions out of the way early in the week so we can focus on practicing and preparing for a very good Yale team.
I've probably asked this before and probably asked it too many times, but I gather, talking to players today, it is about us. As much as you mentioned, yeah, we have an opponent, Yale University, and they're a good hockey club. It's not about them, at least from our perspective. It is about us. What do you mean when you say that?
Well, it's about us executing, making a crucial play at a tough time in the game. It's about scoring last, and it's about enjoying the experience. It's about all those things. But when you talk about different teams making it to the Frozen Four, you've got four excellent hockey teams. I feel it's who's going to execute their own game plan the best that will come out winner.
The fact that we have four teams going to the Frozen Four who have never won a national championship, only one team that has ever been there before, and that was the year I was born, 1952. Does it tell us something about college hockey? And I think of a Jack Parker quote where he had mentioned that it's not that the good teams have gotten any worse, it's that everybody has improved.
Yeah, I think you bring up an excellent question. We could talk about that for quite some time. However, at the university here, when you've got such a great transformation on campus happening. You have Marty Meehan coming here 5 years ago. He's helped elevate our program to a point where we can compete with anybody, and we've shown we can. And thankfully for us, we're the Hockey East representative this year at the Frozen Four, and it's a testament to where how far we've come.
When I talk to these players, one word that keeps coming to mind is belief. This is a team that believes in itself, believes in the guy sitting next to him in the locker room, believes that they are capable of doing just about anything.
Well, that's important. I'm glad they're answering those questions in that fashion, because it is about believing in your teammate and believing in each other, and the best team will win this championship.
Riley Wetmore, during the news conference, and when I spoke to him as well afterwards, talked about getting every player to buy in, and sometimes it takes a little while. When a coach presents a system and an approach, he needs the team to buy in. What was that process like here?
Well, it's an ongoing process. It's a work in progress, and you can't define different time parameters for it taking place. You gain with every little success you have throughout the season, and thankfully for us, we were able to finish the first half with two strong efforts and start the second half with two sweeps, and those really was a very pivotal time for us as a hockey club, because the belief factor has grown from there, and to a point where we're heading into one more weekend of hockey and there's only 4 teams left.
Everybody has contributed. No question this has been, from top to bottom, a team effort. Younger players, freshmen, I think of a goaltender, a defenseman, a forward, and actually probably several in each of those positions have contributed mightily. What was the approach you took to bringing the freshmen along?
Well, it was important to establish a culture of competitiveness when I got here, and I think we've competed in practice very well this year. And if you really do your research and go down the last 23 games, very few times was the same lineup intact. a lot of different guys have had a role and have played a strong part in our success. So I'm proud of that fact, but they've also been competing hard to get into the lineup, and when they do, they make the most of it.
This hockey club, and we've got some terrific offensive players. I was talking with Scott Wilson and complimenting him on his offensive production. And he tells me all offense comes from defense. And I believe it. I've seen what this team does on the ice. Is that initially a tough sell to guys who, if you will, make their living in front of the net at the other end of the ice?
Yeah, I think it's a maturation process. When the guys realize that good things happen from the D zone on out, it's a tremendous development in your team. And when your top offensive producers are reiterating how offense gets produced, that's a good sign. So if Willie's one of the guys telling you that offense comes from defense, we're in a good place. And it's exciting for a coach because the buy-in factor comes at different times for different people. And certainly we've got it down pat with a lot of different guys, but some guys are still growing and maturing, and that's normal when you go through 4 years of college.
Often during the season you'd say we just want to get better each weekend. Are we still looking to get better each weekend? Do you feel we've still yet to play what is our best hockey?
Well, I hope so. I do feel, I'm not sure if there is a perfect hockey game out there. You have to negotiate a lot of momentum shifts in these playoff games, especially with these long timeouts that we're experiencing through TV. However, we do have a couple areas that we need to improve upon before we go to the Frozen Four, and that's what we're concentrating on the next few days.
We know for players there's a bit of a wow factor. Is there ever a wow factor for a coach?
There must be. We haven't experienced it yet because we're just focused on the next opponent. I think it's more business-like for coaching staffs because you're always wondering what you've left out, and you're always working towards preparing as much as you can for the next opponent. So it's the wow factor doesn't happen as much, I believe, when you're coaching as it does when you're playing.
It's not meant to be a silly question. I heard Riley Wetmore and others talk about accountability and players holding one another accountable. Do the coaches do the same thing among themselves? You, Jason Lammers, Cam Ellsworth, Dan Darrow, various people. Does the staff, is there that same demand of accountability of one another?
Well, I think to a certain extent. I think there's a certain standard that you hold your own staff to, and as well as the players. And fortunately for me, I've got a great staff. They've all done a great job this year, and there's several layers of accountability within the staff. And that's nice because the kids have several different people keeping them in check, and they keep each other in check, and that's why it's a good hockey team. They're keeping each other accountable, and that's a big piece of the puzzle.
I know we had a terrific crowd at the Boston Garden. We had a terrific Riverhawk crowd up in Manchester. And from what I gather, we're going to have a lot of people go down to Pittsburgh as well. I know from the comments that the players made during the news conference, that makes a difference.
No, it certainly does. Riley was very gracious in his comments about the crowd, but it has been a huge factor. When you go to the Boston Garden, you see a sea of blue. You go to Manchester, it's basically their home rink, and you see just as many fans, UMass Lowell fans, as UNH fans. It can throw over the edge, and it makes a difference. It gives you a special feeling, and that's what these kids need, that type of support, and I hope it continues throughout.
All right, we remind people, Thursday, April 11th, 4:30 in the afternoon, UMass Lowell versus Yale. It is the NCAA National Semifinal, Game 1. Norm, thank you for your time and good luck.
Thank you, Bob.